Welcome back. December pending home sales coming in better than expected last week, up 2.5% month over month. We are looking ahead to the November Case-Shiller 20-City Index. That's out tomorrow morning. Joining me right now to take a look at the housing market is Nest Seekers International Chief Economist Erin Sykes. Erin, it's good to see you. Thanks so much for being here. So many people say that the housing market right now is in recession. How would you assess the market?
So it's so important to realize that real estate is local. And I think that we saw this in the recent statements by Goldman Sachs, where they, called out that where there's going to be 25% decreases. But then they also called out cities like New York and Baltimore and Miami and Chicago, where we only expect to see a 1% pullback over the next year. Also, if we look at mortgage rates, they're not going down anytime soon, and buyers are realizing this. And, louder in the back, they're not going down anytime soon. Buyers are starting to come back to the table. We expect velocity and transaction volume to peak up in the cities that we mentioned before and in other continuing hot areas like Florida.
Yeah, so, you're right, but there's been such demand destruction as a result of the higher mortgage rates. Mortgage rates went up all the way to, 6.5%? We're still talking about a double to where we were just a year ago.
Yeah, but, 3% is not realistic. I personally hope that we never see mortgage rates go back down to 3% because we got ourselves in a bit of a pickle and we're, carrying ourselves out with this recession and with the intense inflation. And then if you look at the other side of the coin, rents are incredibly expensive right now. So even though affordability is down for the buyer, renting is really dampening and putting a bigger hole in their pocket over the long term. People are realizing that millennials are finally coming into the housing market and starting to be interested in buying. We didn't see that for the last 20 years. We almost had a completely dead generation in terms of home purchasing. So we have all that pent up demand from the millennials, and we've got Gen Z appreciating home ownership as well as the #1 wealth builder in the United States.
Yeah, I think you make a great point on rent. People are getting sticker shock when they're renting, for sure, pushing them back into the ownership market. In a recent report, Goldman Sachs analysts are predicting that home values in San Jose, San Diego, Phoenix, and Austin will decrease more than 25%. Erin, what about the valuations in terms of homes? I know that you are talking about real estate being local. Where are home prices coming down?
So in the markets that you mentioned, and of course in other markets that seem to be a little bit overinflated, oversaturated during the pandemic, the cities that can't really handle the new infrastructure. And I think why Florida has been continuing to be such a hot market, in full disclosure, I work in the Palm Beach and Miami areas. We can support the influx of people of over 1,000 a day. We've got the technology and the financial centers. We've got Goldman Sachs and Citadel. We really can, employ these people, and we also offer great benefits to moving. So I think the areas that really don't have those benefits, those value adds, we're seeing a pullback there.
Yeah, I think you make a great point. There's a reason so many people are leaving high tax states and going to Florida. Chris Markowski, you're with us this morning. Your thoughts in terms of this slowdown in housing. This is not like what we saw in 2006, because it was a different situation then with regard to supply.
Oh, praise God, Maria. We don't want to go back to the adjustable rate mortgages where everybody was getting a reset and had no choice but to sell. Even if, let's say, what Goldman Sachs is right. You go some of these markets where you see a precipitous drop in housing prices. If you don't have an adjustable rate mortgage, okay, you still have your house. It's a function of what you can afford every single month. And that's what we're dealing with. Most people get a 30-year mortgage. They said, okay, I got my principal, I got my interest, and I've got my insurance costs that are all baked in, taxes as well. And if there's an adjustment there, like we've had right now, where interest rates have gone up, guess what? The principal's going to have to come down a little bit. It's just all natural.
Yeah, Erin, you think rates are not going to go any lower, mortgage rates, but will they go significantly higher?
I actually think we might tick slightly lower, and it seems slightly more inevitable that we're going to have a soft-ish landing. So, we've obviously increased the Fed funds rate the last 5-6 sessions. However, we've actually seen mortgage rates come down during that time. The highest mortgage rate was just close to 7% for the 30-year average,
right.
and that was back in the fall. And since then, we've come down to about 6%. Now, Goldman expects it to tick up to 6.5%, but I think we're going to hover around 6, a bit lower, longer.
All right. We'll be watching that. Erin, good to have you. Thanks very much. Erin Sykes on housing this morning. Stay with us. We'll be right back with the Hot Topic Buzz.